Hey there guys, welcome. I'm Turquoise and this is Let's Play the 39 Steps. So in the previous episode we started this Let's Play and played the wrong ditch. We got an introduction to the character of Richard Hannay, a bit of backstory to him, so I don't remember where he had some entertainment, and let's see what happens next. Resolved to leave England for the Cape, Hannay's outlook changes as a mysterious visitor drops by. So let's get started. In the previous episode, I was talking about how this, an unlikely visit, about how this Let's Play is going to be handled. And I'm going to talk a bit backstory about this game. 18 May 1914, Wimpole Street, London. If I'm not mistaken, World War One started in like June or 1914. I don't know what the month June sticks out to me, but yeah. So we've made it home, or someone's made it home? I have no clue. Let's open up the door. Now, I was gonna talk a bit of backstory.
Hey, can I speak to you? May I come in for a minute?
I recognize him as the occupant of a flat on the top floor, with whom I had passed the time of the day on the stairs. He was slim, with a short brown beard and small, gym lady eye, blue eyes. His hand was pawing at my arm. I motioned him in. Now, I'm gonna try to do this Let's Play as if I were on a radio broadcast. No sooner was he over the threshold than he made a dash for my back room, where I used to smoke and write my letters. Then he bolted back. As if
Is the door locked?
He filled himself a stiff whiskey and soda and drank it off in 3 gulps. I sat down in an armchair and lit my pipe. I was pretty certain that I had to deal with a madman.
I'm very sorry. It's a mighty liberty, but you look like the kind of man who would understand. I've had you in my mind all this week when things got troublesome. Say, will you do me a good turn?
I'll listen to you. That's all I'll promise.
Pardon. I'm a bit rattled tonight. You see, I happen at this moment to be dead.
What does it feel like?
A smile flickered over his drawn face.
I'm not mad. Yet. Say, sir, I've been watching you, and I reckon you're a cool customer. I reckon, too, you're an honest man and not afraid of playing a bold hand. I'm gonna confide in you. I need help worse than any man ever needed it. I want to know if I can count you in.
Get on with your yarn and I'll tell you.
I'm sorry, the what? Franklin P. Scudder was American, from Kentucky. After college, being pretty well off, he started out to see the world. Is this our... He wrote a bit and acted as a war correspondent for a Chicago paper. Tensions in the Near East, Balkan affairs test Europe. He had played about with politics, at first for interest, and then because he couldn't help himself. Then he made his discovery. Swim back to Italy. away behind all of the governments and the armies, there was a big subterranean movement going on, engineered by some very dangerous people. The sort of educated anarchists that make revolutions. And behind the more financiers who are playing for money. They wanted Russia and Germany at loggerheads. Everything would be in the melting pot. The anarchists looked to see a new world emerge, while the capitalists would make fortunes by buying up wreckage. And Scudder had himself convinced that Jewish men were behind it all.
On the 15th day of June, Konstantin Karolides is coming to this city. The British Foreign Office has taken to having international tea parties, and the biggest of them is due on that date. Now, Karolides is reckoned the principal guest, and if my friends have their way, he will never return to his admiring countrymen.
I set up for that, for I had been reading about Karolides that very afternoon. We
That's
were
simple
actually.
enough anyhow. You can warn him and keep him at home.
And play their game. If he does not come, they win, for he's the only man that can straighten out the tangle. And if his government are warned, he won't come, for he does not know how big the stakes will be on June the 15th.
I was beginning to get interested in the beggar.
What about the British government? They're not going to let their guests be murdered. Tip them the wink, and they'll take extra precautions.
No good. They might stuff your city with plainclothes detectives and double the police. And Constantine would still be a doomed man. He'll be murdered by an Austrian, and there'll be plenty of evidence to show the connivance of the big folk in Vienna and Berlin. It will all be an infernal lie, of course, but the case will look black enough to the world. But it's not gonna come off if there's a certain man alive right here in London on the 15th day of June. And that man is gonna be your servant, Franklin P. Scudder.
I was getting to like the little chap. His jaw had shut like a rat trap, and there was the fire of battle in his gimlety eyes.
Where did you find out this story?
I completed my evidence 10 days ago in Paris. I can't tell you the details now, for it's something of a history. But when I was quite sure in my own mind, I judged it my business to disappear. And I reached this city by a mighty queer circuit. Till yesterday, I thought I had muddied my trail some, and was feeling pretty happy. Then...
The recollection seemed to upset him, and he gulped down some more whiskey.
Then I saw a man standing in the street outside this block. I used to stay close in my room all day, and only slip out after dark for an hour or two. I watched him for a bit from my window, and I thought I recognized him. He came in and spoke to the porter. When I came back from my walk last night, I found a card in my letterbox. It bore the name of the man I want least to meet on God's earth.
I think that the look in my companion's eyes, the sheer naked scare on his face, completed my conviction of his honesty.
What did you do next?
I realized I was bottled as sure as a pickled herring. And that there was only one way out. I had to die. If my pursuers knew I was dead, they would go to sleep again.
How did you manage it?
Oh, they're telling us how we're gonna pretend Scudder died. So, quick recap and quick question to you guys. I'm not very familiar with World War I history. I'm more familiar with World War II. However, I'm pretty sure that an Austrian prince was murdered, Franz Ferdinand, I'm pretty sure it was, and I'm not even sure if he was Austrian. So they were talking about Germany and Russia and setting up revolutions. So I'm guessing this is all setting us up for the First World War. Let's go ahead and figure out how we're gonna pretend or kill Scudder. I'm not even sure if we're pretending to kill him. And I was mentioning before all the cutscenes interrupted me, that I'm gonna handle this as if this was a radio station, and I'm just reading out the story to you. I'm not gonna be reading their dialogues. I'm just gonna be reading Henne's inner monologues. So let's go ahead and read step 1. I told the man who vowed to me that I was feeling pretty bad and got myself up to look like death. That wasn't difficult, for I'm no slouch at disguises. Step 1. Convince Porter. Illness requires disguise, makeup, clay. Apparently we've also run out of clay. Rest in peace. Gone? I don't understand that. Okay, step 2. Where to find a corpse? Graveyard. Highgate Cemetery. Transport? Stairs. Cabby? Carriage. Then I got a corpse. You can always get a buddy in London if you know where to look for it. I fetched it back in a trunk on the top of the four-wheeler, and I had to be assisted upstairs to my room. So he went to the graveyard, dug out a body, got a body on himself, and had the body taken in. I had to pile up the evidence for the inquest, so I went to bed, and I got my man to mix me a sleeping draught, and then I told him to clear out. He wanted to fetch me a doctor, but I swore some, and I said I couldn't abide the leeches. Feign death, sleeping draught, who to administer. Okay, so they're getting a sleeping draught so he can pretend to be dead while he sleeps. His jaw is a problem. My options are limited. A gun, neighbors. Will make a loud bang. Not a great deal of choice. When I was left alone, I started to fake up that corpse. He was my size, and I judged he had perished from too much alcohol, so I put some spirit about the place. The jaw was the weak point of the likeness, so it blew it away with a revolver. I dare say there will be some day to swear having heard a shot, but there are no neighbors on my floor, so I guessed I could risk it. Was that 4? Yeah. So basically, the jawline, he trimmed off the jawline so that it would actually look like him. I left the body in the bed dressed up in my pajamas with a revolver lying on the bedclothes and a considerable mess around. Then I got into a suit of clothes that I had kept waiting for emergencies. I didn't dare shave for fear of leaving tracks, and besides, it wasn't any kind of use my trying to get into the streets. Dress body, place a revolver, change, leave no trace. So basically he's telling us how he set up the death, or how he's going to set up the death. I'm not very clear on that. I'm guessing that's the body on the pajamas. Yeah.
I had you in my mind all day, and there seemed nothing to do but to make an appeal to you. I watched from my window till I saw you come home, and then slipped down the stair to meet you.
He said, blinking like an owl, fluttering with nerves and desperately determined.
There, sir. I guess you know about as much as me of this business.
We're serving more whiskey. I was now pretty well convinced that he was going straight with me. It was the wildest sort of narrative, but I had heard in my time many steep tales which had turned out to be true. And if he wanted to get a location in my flat and then cut my throat, he would have pitched a Miller yarn.
Hand me your key, and I'll take a look at the corpse. Excuse my caution, but I'm bound to verify a bit if I can.
I reckon you'd ask for that. But I haven't got it. It's on my chain on the dressing table. I had to leave it behind, for I couldn't leave any clues to breed suspicions. The gentry who are after me are pretty bright-eyed citizens. You'll have to take me on trust for the night, and tomorrow you'll get the proof of the corpse business right enough.
I thought for an instant or two.
Right. I'll trust you for the night. I'll lock you into this room and keep the key. Just one word, Mr. Scudder. I believe you're straight. But if so be you are not, I should warn you that I'm a handy man with a gun.
I haven't the privilege of your name, sir, but let me tell you that you're a true gentleman. Now, I'll thank you to lend me a razor.
I took him into my bedroom and turned him loose. In half an hour's time, a figure came out that I scarcely recognized.
My hat, Mr. Scudder.
A new man. Similarities and differences between us, I guess. Only his gym Letty hungry eyes were the same. Oh no, it's a differences with the old Scudder, since he went unshaved. He was the very model, even to the brown complexion, of some British officer who had had a long spell in India. He was shaved clean, his hair was parted in the middle, and he had cut his eyebrows. So we're learning about this Scudder character, and
Not
about
Mr.
us as
Scudder.
well.
Captain Theophilus Digby of the 40th Gurkhas, presently home on leave. I'll thank you to remember that, sir.
He's disguising himself up as another character. I made him up a bed in the smoking room and sought my own couch, more cheerful than I had been for the past month. Things did happen occasionally, even in this god-forgotten metropolis. So, guys, sorry if this was a very story-ridden episode. I'm guessing the whole game's gonna be like this. I will be seeing you in the next one where we tackle on deeper into this mess. Sorry for leaving in such a cliffhanger, but I'm guessing this is the way the story's gonna be divided into. So, I bid you a good night and see you in the next one. I've been Turquoise, and you've been Mr. Buer. Thank you for watching.